Back to school season is here, and with the rush of school supplies, schedules, and new routines, it's easy to forget some of the basic etiquette that helps students and parents start the year off right.
To help us brush up on those must-know manners, we're joined by our etiquette expert, Christy Spencer from the Polite Company, to talk all things classroom conduct. Welcome back to the show.
Hello.
Great to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Let's kick it off with this one, Christy. What can parents do to help younger children and their manners be ready for school?
I think sometimes when it's summertime, or maybe even if they haven't been to school yet, they don't maybe think about the importance of just saying please and thank you. And that is an important thing if they're going to be interacting with their teachers and their friends. Knowing how to introduce themselves is a big one. So, I mean, we're starting ground one for making these friendships that could last a really long time. So being able to introduce yourself confidently. If you have a shy child, tell that child it's okay. You can tell people, I feel shy. You know, and people will understand. But just remember that the more that you reach out to people, the more that they're going to reach back. And that is at any age. So, and little ones, it might be like, what's your favorite color? And then, wow, bam, we have an instant connection because that's mine too. As you grow, those topics might get a little bit more complex.
Yeah, sure.
I love that. Well, this might affect more so some of those older kids, right? But how do kiddos adapt to cell phone bans during the school days?
I think starting today, if you're not doing these things, you know, let's start doing them. One is I would make sure that all of their notifications are silenced.
Okay.
We are so trained to go to our phones every time they tell us to. Our phones are controlling us rather than us controlling our phones, especially at that age. So have them get used to not having that instant gratification. You want to take times of the day that there's no cell phone zones in your home so they get practice with that. And some of this just has to do with anxiety that kids feel. So make sure that they know your phone number so that if they needed to call you from the school phone, they could. When you're thinking about plans for the week, if your plans have to change daily for some reason, try to know a week ahead that you're riding the bus this day, somebody's going to pick you up this day. So that's a lot of the communication that goes on about that.
Right.
So those are some tips to kind of help them. And then the biggest one is parents need to put their phones down
Be an
as
example.
well.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. You know, there's an education component to school, obviously, but there's also socialization is a big part of it too, right? So what can we do to help our children adapt socially at school, Christy?
I think just to think of how they can be kind to other people. Make that a goal for the day. When, you know, we get home, we all have to sit around the table, if we're lucky, together and have dinner. And what's the conversation? Oh, what'd you learn in school today? And the answer is always
Nothing.
nothing.
Yeah.
And so I encourage parents to instead say, well, who did you help today? That's a great conversation starter. Not only, but it has them looking throughout the day for opportunities. And people like helpful people. So I think just, you know, having that forefront will make them more likable. And then if we could teach ourselves, this would be great. But if we could teach our kids to assume that other people are going to like them, even when you're feeling you're not feeling self-confident. People will still like you. Assume that they will like you and act accordingly, and there's a way better chance they actually will.
I like that.
I think us adults could use that too, absolutely. What about when it comes to college students and dorm life? What are some things that students need to be aware of?
Well, I think sometimes they can get really comfortable with each other and not maybe think about them quite so much. So I always say the first time you see them during the day, greet them, hi, how are you? Doesn't have to be the 90 other times you see them that day, but the first time, start with that. I would come up with a list of check marks of this is what we agree is going to be clean in our dorm room. This is how we are going to divvy up the chores. This is how we like quiet time. This is how we will allow guests to come over. All of those things, it's much easier to start out and have those conversations, have it on paper, and make a date, put it in your phone of when you're going to go back every 6 weeks or every month and revisit how everything is going for each of you to really learn how to keep communication lines open and even learning how to express yourself when you're disagreeing. So, and I'll have a checklist on my website that kids can go and so it's right there and they can say, I saw this lady on the morning show, and she
Yeah.
said I had to do this.
Yeah.
So, that'll give them the excuse to do that. But it really does kind of get to some things where you think, oh, that won't be a problem. Everyone's the same. And then we find out we are not the same.
Right.
What is your website where people can go for that list or any other etiquette tips?
It is thepolitecompany.com.
Okay, that's easy. A little planning and a little communication go a long way. That's
Very
what my
long
takeaway.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
Thank
for joining
you.
us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, happy back to school.
Yeah.